What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it again with another video. Hey man, today we're going to be looking at one conservative versus 25 LGBTQs. Now, we're not going to watch the whole thing because it's 100. No, it's 1:40:22. So it's an hour and 40 minutes. 22 seconds to be exact. But if y'all new, subscribe, man. Subscribe. We're almost at 100 subs. Let's go crazy. Let's go ahead and get straight to the video, bruh. And we're gonna go right now.
In terms of reality, I'm gay married. Ooh, right? Like, what is the point of this conversation?
Because you're not really married.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna outright call you a fascist.
Oh no!
And say
heaven,
what you're
heaven
saying
forbid.
is hate speech.
I have XX chromosomes, Michael.
Do you have XX chromosomes?
Yeah, would you call me she/her now?
I don't.
Oh, looks like
I'll defer to you. Hello, I'm Michael Knowles. I'm a conservative podcast host at the Daily Wire. I'm an author and I'm a cigar salesman at Mayflower Cigars. And today, I am surrounded by 20 LGBTQ plus activists.
And let me tell you this right now. It takes big balls to do this. Like, you gotta be a fantastic talker. You can't be scared of the moment. You gotta be ready to defend your position, right? You can't be scared. You can't let him punk you around. Because this is, like, he's outnumbered. I mean, duh, but he's outnumbered. It's crazy. Wow. I'm curious to see how this will go.
My first claim is that there is no such thing as same-sex marriage.
Alright, let's see it. What's up? I mean, you're right. I bet you everybody's going to come to that chair. Told you.
Wow.
Nice to meet you.
How are you, sir? Nice to see you.
I'm doing well. So your claim, what's the underlying philosophy of your claim?
Well, I guess the underlying historical part of my claim is that everyone for all of history everywhere until, and I'm being generous, 2001, agreed with my view that there's no such thing as same-sex marriage. So it seems to me that marriage intrinsically requires sexual difference. And furthermore, I think that any claim that marriage could be redefined to include same-sex marriage would render the term marriage incomprehensible.
Would you say that this is based off of natural law and how Thomas Aquinas defines natural law?
There's a good natural law argument for it, but I think it's based on more than that. It's based on anthropology.
Well, then would you say that marriage is a set of legal rights or is it a social rule?
I think marriage is an institution. I think it's the fundamental political institution. I think, getting back to classical philosophy,
of course,
that man is fundamentally a social animal. So, I think at the bedrock of politics is the unit of the family. And, of course, intrinsic to the family is marriage.
But all of those, especially with natural law, is just an assertion without evidence to back that claim. In that we see marriage over time in various cultures has been different things.
In which cultures would you say you see same-sex marriage?
I did not say same-sex marriage particularly, but the role of it when it comes to family, when it comes to the conditions. Because when you also say that if somebody is lawfully married, especially in the eyes of the church, they cannot be divorced and then married again.
Well, I oppose divorce and remarriage, but I'm making...
I mean, you can be remarried, but not with the same sex. Right? Like, why do you have to be with... Let's say that you're a guy. Why you want to be with another guy? I'm just asking. You feel me?
Modest claim than that. I'm just saying that at its core, marriage necessarily involves two different sexes.
But how would you prove that? Because all of natural law is just this assertion. I can just as easily say the opposite in that marriage is set of legal rights.
You keep bringing up natural law. I'm actually speaking even more basically. I love natural law, but I'm speaking even more basically than that. It seems to me that the only way that marriage could have a meaning is if it involves different sexes.
But once again, you're defining that meaning. But marriage essentially is a set of rights conferred from two spouses when it comes to inheritance, when it comes to the rights of the children, when it comes to a number of about 1,100 federal and state rights.
Okay, then what you're getting at is interesting and might help us move forward. How would you define marriage?
I would say marriage is a legal contract between individuals when it comes to a set of property laws, when it comes to family law, when it comes to children, and many other rights that are conferred. And we do see that those rights have been conferred to members of the same sex. And so say that same-sex marriage does not exist is not true because we see it.
Well, you
Just because it's true doesn't mean that it's the right way. like, is it me or is it hard to, when they be talking about this stuff, I like to bring in God because, I believe, like, God's real, God exists, Jesus will come back on this earth and set his people free. Like, I believe in that. Is that not fair to put that in, like, a debate? Because we like to, I guess, justify what things mean when it's directly in the Bible. It's going to tell you what it is. Like, the Bible tells us all. I mean, unless you're not a Christian, then I get it. But if you're a Christian and you understand that everything is in the Bible, the good and the bad, the Bible describes this whole world. And it's up to us to follow God's words. Right?
Marriage entails rights pertaining to children. Well, two men cannot create a child.
But neither can infertile couples. And neither can, there are a number of couples that cannot have children.
Bro, just because there are some couples that can't have children, okay, that's like the 2%. Bro, a lot of people have children. That's why you see a lot of kids. There's a lot of us.
So infertility sometimes occurs, and that's
And
unfortunate.
so does gay marriage.
Well, no, gay marriage, it cannot occur. I guess.
But you're asserting that without proof. We see that it does happen in that
No,
word
it doesn't.
that we mean marriage.
You could
legal rights.
You could say that there's such a thing as a square ball. You could say that, but a
you're
square ball
asserting that
doesn't
it's a
really exist.
contradiction.
I like that
agree
one.
People have been lawfully wedded.
Square ball
in the eyes
don't
of the
exist, no
government,
matter
and those two parties are members
how
of
you try to.
No, I'm saying that isn't possible. So
How you
laws
try to
can
make
assert
that
what you're
as an
asserting.
argument?
that without
Well,
proof.
like the law could say that a black person isn't a human being, but that wouldn't be true.
It's
That
not
wouldn't make it
true.
true.
Once again, when we get into this Aristotelian view of the world, that's an assertion. Would you agree?
You're bringing up Aristotle. I don't know. I'm not bringing up Aristotle.
Well, we
So
said
I like
that,
Aristotle.
that Aristotle, Thomas Aquinas, in the traditional view of the magisterium of the Catholic Church, are a view that you use to base your worldview off of.
I am Catholic, but marriage actually even predates the church. So I guess my view is
Yes.
your definition of marriage seems to get a
look at
little
her.
muddled. You say it's a
Duh.
legal
It's a
arrangement
legal
of family,
arrangement,
but to
yes.
say that marriage is a legal arrangement pertaining to family is circular. Of course, it's a legal arrangement pertaining
I'm
to family.
saying
I'm
it's
what
a
is
legal
it?
arrangement.
When you say it's an arrangement that pertains to children, you say, well, of course, okay, now we're getting closer because only a man and a woman can produce a child in principle. Now, of course, some couples are infertile, but just because a human being, let's say, loses an arm, doesn't mean that human beings only have one arm or
But
we
you're
might
saying
have
that
three
it's
arms.
a
We're discussing
necessary
what the
component. And that necessary component doesn't come from
no,
anywhere.
Well, I'll give you my definition of marriage.
Absolutely.
I think marriage is a lifelong union between a man and a woman.
It is.
Toward the
He's right.
procreation and education of children.
It's
and
a
as
man
secondary
and a
matter for the
woman.
mutual support of the spouses.
That's the right
Once
way.
again, when we say ordered towards, is to look at the world with these preconceived notions about things.
I'm not preconceiving anything. I'm just observing
Observing
nature as it
things?
is. No, I'm just observing nature, and I'm saying that that's what marriage is.
When
Just
we're
as
observing nature, we see that there are same-sex couples. So if we go, we are observing
no, I'm not
things.
saying there can't be same-sex couples. I'm just saying there can't be same-sex marriage.
Are there same-sex individuals that have entered into a legal contract that the state recognizes as a marriage?
Sometimes the state gets things wrong, as I am arguing.
But
has
is that a
happened in the
yes?
case of
Is that a
same-sex
yes? That
marriage.
there are couples of the same sex that have been wedded in the eyes
Yeah,
of the state?
Since 2015,
Maybe.
the U.S. government pretends that two men can be married to each other.
But you're basing off of that nothing. You're basing that off of nothing.
No, I'm basing it off of the Obergefell decision from the Supreme Court. They're pretending. They're acting as if two men can marry each other.
According to you?
No, according to the Supreme Court in the Obergefell decision.
We keep using pretend as if things exist outside of the institutions that we make.
I'm just saying the word has a meaning, and I gave you a very clear definition of what I think it means and what statistically everyone for all of human history everywhere has thought it means. And you've given me this kind of jumbled description that keeps contradicting itself. And that's my whole point, is I think it is not possible to define marriage. I have nothing against two
According to
fellas.
who? According to who?
Prove me wrong.
Prove you wrong. Once again, are there couples in the U.S. that have entered into a covenant
as
that
I-
society views as marriage?
Well, some people in society view it as marriage, but many do not.
But you aren't the ones conferring rights to society.
Right, but I don't think that the government dictates reality. I think that if the government came out and passed a law and said that human beings are people with 3 heads and 17 arms and octopus tentacles, and so we decree the U.S. government, that wouldn't make it true.
But who defines marriage? Nice.
A pleasure to meet you.
Man, he's Like the composure to do this. He said 10 people get up. Oh,
Hey, good to meet you, Mindy.
okay.
Appreciate
So
you. Nice to
okay,
meet
cool.
you.
That's what I do.
Oh, my name's Mason. But
Mason.
Good to meet you. Yeah,
I'm Michael.
Oh, gotcha. Wait, do you have a birth certificate?
Not on me, but I do have one.
Okay, well, I can't confirm that your name's Michael until I see that birth certificate just as a defender of objective truth. But
Oh.
we can go more into the
Well,
problems speaking about
you
marriage.
could actually, if you have
Okay.
faculties of reason and you say, well, this is the sort of fellow who presents himself, in a
really?
credible way, and you've probably checked with the producers here, they've probably verified that I am who I am. So
Yeah.
a reasonable
are you
person
saying
would be
that
able to
gender
know
is
who
something
I am.
that is more performative characteristics? Is that what you're implying? Is that I'm able, with my faculty of reason, to assume that I'm speaking with?
Hey, this is the type of dude that's smart. Sorry, no, not like smart, but just like sarcastic. Like he on that, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, like that's not the type of guy that I want to have a conversation with. That's just me. You feel me? That's just me.
In front of me,
Uh,
and therefore I can just politely go with the name that you're presenting to me, almost as an act of respect.
no, I just think that I wouldn't have gotten in this building if I weren't really who I say I am. So
Okay, gotcha.
that would be my deduction.
We'll bring it back to the prompt, going back to specifically same-sex marriage. You said you argued from an anthropology? That's like your basis of...
Yeah, men and women are different, and marriage involves one of each. Yeah.
What specific culture are you referring to? Because we have
All-
so many
all of them.
cultures that have
All of
communal
them.
relationships in which people are raised. When you said in the act of procreation,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of it takes a village to raise kids?
But
That's
I
not
didn't-
something that's just a saying.
No, I
That
didn't say
actually
in that-
happens literally in specific
No,
cultures.
but when I say procreation, that's the act of creating the child. And usually there aren't 3 or 4 people involved in that. It's usually 2 people.
Yeah,
He's
but
right.
even those people that do create the child, oftentimes were referred to as different genders depending on the culture that it is that you're observing.
Which
So I
cultures
recognize from
are
your-
you referring to?
We could talk about the Mayans. We could talk about certain Amazonian cultures.
Well,
I recognize that they're not Western cultures, so you
Yeah,
might not
well,
prioritize
so what-
them.
what
but
was
that doesn't
their-
mean that they don't exist.
What was their? Well, they no longer exist, the Mayans.
Oh,
but
right, because of
what,
colonialism. I'm glad that you're just.
but what was their view of gender? What specifically
gender
were
is
you
something
referring
that's
to?
specifically a social characteristic that we're all performing in right now. I mean, you
But
can't
what-
say.
no,
kinda going back to
I'm
our
not
original
asking. I'm not
interaction.
asking your opinion. I'm asking what you brought up the
It
Mayans.
was
What did
my
the
opinion.
Mayans think?
That's just something that
Yeah,
is.
what do they think?
What did the Mayans think? You brought it up. You seem so confident about this. What did the Mayans think
What do
about
you think?
marriage and gender?
What do you think? Bud?
What do you, we can talk about difference in the way that they are.
Gotcha. Bow. He gotcha. See, we be want to throwing out what we think, but let's not talk. Let's not talk for other cultures. Let them talk. So, because you seem to know everything, you tell me, what do they think about it? Not what you think about it, but what do they think about it, man? That was tough.
Recognize
Can we? I don't know that you know the difference. You said there was a difference, but you haven't explained how there was a difference. And I think this is what people
Is this
do a lot.
wait? Is this prompt specifically on the Mayan?
There you go. Deflect. Because he got you in a pickle. Deflect. That's what they do when they can't squeeze themselves out of a corner. I like
I'm
this.
trying to drill down. Just when you say there are different understandings of marriage throughout history and time and space.
That's
I
crazy.
said, okay, maybe that's possible. How? Tell me. Point to the examples. And you said, well, the Mayans. And I said, okay, well, what did the Mayans think about marriage? And you don't have an answer. And none of these people have answers because everyone has... Do you have an answer?
People can look up right now. If you're right here at Google, exactly. Michael's trying
Look
to hold me down.
at you. Why would you speak on something that you don't even know? Because if this man Michael did that, you would be all over him. But you just talking. Where's the facts? Give it to me. Come on, man. Where's the facts?
Trivia night right now.
No, I'm just
Right
asking
now,
you to
Trivia?
Specifically, our examples.
I'm
of
asking
what's
you.
happening.
I'm asking you to explain the point that you brought up. And so, what people usually do is they say, "Well, look, I'm sure that there were all different types of marriage throughout history, all over the world." And what I'm telling you is, there actually hasn't been.
So you're telling me that a Catholic priest are the people who created like a certain ceremony within the Mayan culture? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not telling you that. I'm
All right.
telling you that if you want to listen, I'm happy to tell you exactly
Well,
what
I'm listening. Ears
Okay.
are open, Michael.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mindy.
For all of history, everywhere in the world, until roughly 2001 in the Netherlands, every single culture, every polity has believed that marriage.
Man, he's
is the
so
union of
calm,
a
man.
and
He
a woman
don't give
toward
a
the procreation of
crap.
children.
And
That's what it is. We've always been.
You're saying that's the specific objective of what marriage is?
Yeah, that's what-
For
no, no,
thousands
no.
of years, marriage has been used for property transfer. That's what marriage
Marriage is also used for the mutual support of the spouses, but it is in principle ordered toward the procreation of children. That's what distinguishes it from other kinds of relationships. So
Would you say that there's an aspect where love is important, specifically within this current culture? Would you say that you love your wife?
I do, but now
Okay, well, that always hasn't been the case, specifically when it comes to things like
there are
arranged
plenty of people
marriages.
today who don't love their wives.
That's
But
absolutely true.
I suppose the difference
As I just mentioned, that love has not always been something that's recognized.
Right.
And even in some couples
we love
right now,
we love people in relationships that are marital and in relationships that are not marital. We sometimes don't love our spouses. We sometimes don't love people who are
But
not our
I
spouses.
think the point of what this
So that-
conversation
so
is,
that-
Michael, is we're seeing different motivations in which people actually get married.
But I'm not
So
asking
it doesn't
about
have to be
motivations.
specifically for the procreation. It doesn't have to be specifically for property transfer. And in some instances, it can just be the union of people who care about each other.
Okay, but-
That's the
but I-
fixation and the obsession
I care
of
about-
same-sex couples.
I care about
this
my-
is just what's so weird, specifically when conservatives claim to be big, strong men. You know, cigar salesmen that are out there.
Bro, he
presenting
wanna
this
talk.
sort
Now
of
he wants to
image.
just ramble,
It's weird
bro.
when you're focusing
You see,
more
this is what
on
people
gay
do, bro. I hate
Oftentimes
that.
gay people focus on gay people.
I'm not focusing on anything. I'm not the one who changed the definition of
You
marriage.
came in here making the claim, hey, all of these marriages that I'm seeing are not legitimate.
No, I'm saying they're not
because it hurts
marriage.
my feelings.
No, because that's just not what marriage is. Like if you told me that there were such a thing as a square ball.
The ball that we're referring to is a yellow ball and a green ball. It doesn't mean that the ball is square.
Now I think we're confusing our analogies. The reason one can't have a square ball is not because one has an animus against square balls. It's because it's in the nature of spheres and squares that one cannot simultaneously be both.
The fear isn't seeing a gay marriage and saying, oh, boo, oh my God, I got scared. The fear is, oh my God, my rights are being taken away, or the institution of marriage is degraded, specifically because we're expanding it to people who also love each other.
It's because even in principle, two fellas can't make a baby. That's the difference.
As we mentioned, there are people that are infertile that you
They
wouldn't say
can't,
their marriage
bro.
is any less
No,
legitimate,
but
specifically because they can't.
in principle, their marriage is inclined toward the procreation of children.
That's not true. Because
It
we
is.
just talked about
It
there were
is.
certain instances where marriage is used as a property transfer. It's not for procreation.
But again, it's
What about
it's
King
also
Henry
it's
VIII?
also
Would
it's
you
also
say that
used
any
for
of his marriages were illegitimate?
I would because I'm a Catholic, but that's a separate issue.
Gotcha.
This is the issue. I love my buddy, right? I love my Aunt Gertrude. I love my cousins, but I'm not married to them. I have lived with roommates. I wasn't married to them. Many people have slept with people who are not their spouses. That doesn't mean they're married to them. Marriage has to have a definition that is different from all of these other kinds of relationships.
What you mean, no?
And the only one
It does.
anyone throughout all of history until roughly 2001 in the Netherlands has ever come up with is that it's a union of a man and a woman inclined toward the
Man, this
procreation of
man's
children. And
tough,
also,
dog.
it so happens that
This
children
is
are raised in a
specific-
much better way
This is a
from
specific,
a man and a woman.
this is a
not
specific
from two men.
motivation that you continue to reiterate and parrot. That is just not true if you look at various examples. Good to meet you, Andy.
Good to meet you. What was his name? I didn't catch it. That was easy. You got it. How's it going?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so
Correct?
I am not
Greg?
in this politics world. To be honest, all I know about you is your name is Michael, and you don't marry your cousins.
I don't.
Which is
I
great.
don't. I avoid
Okay,
that.
So I was taking some notes here on my handy dandy notebook.
Okay.
You're making a lot of appeals to things, you know, appeal to nature, appeal to the dictionary, appeal to the past.
Philosophy.
Philosophy,
Yeah,
baby.
I feel like what you're ultimately appealing to is Michael's idea of marriage, and that's fine, right? But we
Well,
live-
I'm appealing to everyone else's idea of marriage for all of history.
well, so here's the
History.
thing. Haven't there before? I don't get sidetracked here, but briefly to respond to that, weren't there other ideas in the past that were bad?
Well, there are plenty of ideas in the past that have been bad and discarded. There are very few ideas that have existed everywhere for all of history and continue to exist today, albeit in a slightly different form, that are bad.
So,
right?
but like, why am I supposed to care that people have believed something for a long time?
Well, because often things that have endured forever everywhere do so because they work or they have some tethering to reality.
That's why I said it brings it all back to God, dog. Like your spirit, what you believe, what you know is wrong. It's just what you know right from wrong. If you think that killing is okay because of your circumstances, then why aren't we all killing people then? If that's the logic that we're going to use, why aren't we killing people? Why aren't we doing bad things because of the circumstances or because of what we think killing means? Some might just think that killing can be for fun and it should be allowed, but that is our own definition, right? Like, we want to justify everything, but there's always one concrete thing. That's why I take it back to God. There's a Bible laid out for us. We want to do things that we feel is right, but just because we feel it doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean it's right. Now, we're going to play a little bit of Craig, and then that's about it, because...
But in this case...
In terms of reality, I'm glad you mentioned the word reality, because in terms of reality, I'm gay married. Ooh, right? Like, we live in a society where if you look at polling data, society seems to be okay with gay marriage. And so if you personally don't want to get gay married,
that's cool, but
you don't have to. But shouldn't we? I mean, I think like, what is the point of this conversation?
Because you're not really married. You have a relationship with a man.
I understand
but you're not really married.
I understand that you think that, and that's fine. But we should structure, because what's the point of this conversation, right? Like, I was kind of falling asleep through all like the Plato and Socrates and
I didn't bring it up. That was the other guy. That wasn't me.
I know, and we'll agree on that. Okay, there's the agreement for the thumbnail. All right. But like the point of this conversation
I can make
should
it very
be
practical for you.
that we're deciding how we should conduct ourselves.
Yes,
right?
I can make it very practical for you. Children do very poorly when they are raised by two men or by two women. Relative
My
to men and
understanding
women.
of the literature on this is that that's not true.
it is true, whether you like it or not.
Unfortunately, I was not able to bring notes here. If
Well,
you
too
look it up
bad.
afterward,
I don't have notes either, but I'll tell you.
You can reach out.
You
to
said
me
I don't need no
after.
notes.
But
I already
We're
know.
getting off of my point here, and I don't like it.
I
So I'm
think-
going to keep talking now.
I think it's
so.
you
I
want it to
think
be
you need
practical,
do
and
what
you want
I
to
need-
avoid.
We're just
the
going to talk
important
over
point.
each other. No
I
one's
don't-
going to
we don't need-
understand it.
we
You
don't need
talk
to
so
talk.
much more than me.
I don't-
You're the hero. Let me talk. Come on, Michael. Let me talk. So,
If you want to avoid the point I'm making, which probably is good for your side of the argument.
okay, if it's good for me, I'm going to do it. So, the point of this conversation is we're deciding ultimately, like, what should our laws be,
It's super
right?
real.
If we live in a plutocratic
funny,
society
man.
where a lot of people
Well, it
have a
shouldn't be
lot of
plutocratic. You mean pluralistic?
pluralistic. Thank you. See,
Yeah.
I'm not a media guy. I'm just a guy. Why am I here? He's a professional. Pluralistic. Thank you, Michael. So we live in a pluralistic society.
Yeah.
And we should have our laws allow people to live the way they want insofar as we're not impeding on other people's liberties or harming others, right? To my understanding,
So what about the right of a kid to have his natural mother and father? Because when the rubber meets the road in gay marriage, it's
Right.
not just two people living together. You could always do that. It's not two people doing those things you guys do, that you could always do that. It's the ability to adopt children, and in some cases, acquire children by going to the baby store and purchasing the eggs of one woman, renting the womb of another woman, and raising children, depriving them intentionally of their
So-
natural mothers, and that's very wrong.
So here's
and
the
that
thing,
does infringe
Michael.
on the rights of kids.
I understand that you believe that.
And all the
majority-
scientific literature, by the way, backs that up.
That's not true.
It is true.
It is
Fact
true.
check that, please.
It is true. The
Let's
study-
let them fact check that on
I'm happy,
video.
I'm happy
and
to
progress
fact.
with the
I'm happy to fact
conversation.
check it for you right now.
No.
The study that you're referring to is the Michael Rosenfeld study out of Stanford in 2010, and it said that kids-
Brother, Michael does this, man. Like, I understand that you're just a guy, but you should have been prepared. Michael, he knows. He reads. A conservative, they know their stuff.
raised in gay households did just as well in
It's
schools. as the
not
other
a
kids.
study.
And that was a major study.
No,
but it
you
was
a major study.
wrong. It had a major
Let me-
methodological error, and it's been corrected by multiple other
I
studies.
would love to engage with you on that in a
Would
sec.
you? Would you?
Yes, in a sec.
I think you
my
would not like to engage
my
on that.
point is,
I mean, he's so
The
kind,
majority
bro,
of
and
people
he's
in
just
society
talking.
are okay with
He's
these
just annihilating this dude.
and
bro.
society's laws should reflect what the majority of people are okay with.
The
And
majority
you-
of people were okay with slavery for much of the 19th century. So should society's laws just reflect that?
Wait, so now things that happen in the past are bad.
Some things that happened in the past are
Okay,
bad,
thank
some
you for
things are
admitting
good.
that, okay.
But some things are good.
But the thing
and
is,
some
is
things that are happening now are very bad too, and they're contrary to reason.
The problem is that slavery is bad. Gay
Right.
marriage, gay adoption, things like that are not bad.
They are bad.
What?
And
Alright, and that's where we stop it. See, right there, that's how you know. If you believe that gay marriage isn't bad, look, I'm telling you this. It's not good either. See, I'm a Christian. You know, there was gay stuff in the Bible back in the day. And you saw how God didn't like that either. He didn't like it. They called them a specific word. I don't know if I should use it. I don't think it's good. but it's like a Bible term. But still, you feel me? It's like you don't. It's just not what you're supposed to do. But you know, shoot, man. That's all I got for y'all, man. God's first. I'm gonna see y'all on the next one.